Hey guys, welcome to the BingeZone. On today's video, we're going to be talking about the first two seasons of Dark, getting a reaction, a breakdown, and a better understanding of just the overall thing that is Dark. And I have to say, to be totally transparent with you guys, I have already seen season 3, and season 3 is by far, to me, a great show. It solidifies Dark as a great show, but I am not going to spoil anything in the third season at all. I want you guys to know that we're going to be talking about Dark. We're going to be talking about the first few seasons, and we're going to be discussing season 1, season 2 in length. But I'm going to keep season 3 completely spoiler free because I had some theories about the third season, which I didn't get a chance to share with you guys. And I want to use this video as time to actually go into those theories. I'm not going to tell you guys whether they're right or they're wrong, but it's still something I want to get off and still something, ideas I want to get you guys discussing. And I would love for your feedback and your thoughts on exactly what you think happened in Dark. But without further ado, let's really dive into some of the things when it comes to Dark. And to me, a lot of things in Dark really go down to this question here. The origin of everything comes down to Adam Jonas. And with Adam Jonas, we get to see his evolution in the progress of how Jonas goes from Jonas of 2019, 2020 becomes the stranger, and how he becomes Adam. The whole formation of Sigmundus is played a part in the third season, and we get to see how Sigmundus is formed, and we get to understand how Adam became Adam. And I have to say, for someone who was introduced to us as a villain, and throughout, like, we know his motives is to try to break the time loop, and we know that his motive really deals with just getting Jonas to get to the points for where he can become Adam. For that to happen, and for us to see the gradual progression of how this guy can go from Jonas to the stranger to someone as cold-hearted as Adam, really is masterful storytelling. Like, the entirety of Dark kept me at the edge of his seat, and really, like, Jonas' character in itself is a tragedy, but we've been seeing this throughout the first few seasons. We have been seeing that his entire journey has been a tragedy. It has been something that he really did not want. He was put into this position, and because of that, he becomes the person that he becomes. And we saw throughout the entirety of the first season, like, he's going down a path. Like, Jonas himself has been being led by his two future selves. In the first season, it was the stranger pulling the strings, trying to get Jonas to stop this from happening, trying to let Jonas become himself. And then in the second season, it's Adam pulling the strings, and it becomes a three-way battle. You have Jonas actually not trying to follow in the stranger's footsteps. You have the stranger not trying to follow in Adam's footsteps. And then we have Adam manipulating both characters and trying to get them to become him. So it's a fun and weird dynamic, but it works. And really, one of the best things about Dark is the gradual character progression, because we know the entirety of it all is a closed time loop. And that's very interesting to talk about, because the entirety of the time loop is incumbent upon Jonas to follow in the previous footsteps of his other versions, his older selves. And even though he's actually not trying to become them, every step he takes him one step closer to becoming them. And then that in itself is something that I really enjoyed about this. And I really like the fact that we got to see that part of it. And it works. It really works. And because it works, it gets us to understand that Jonas himself becomes a member of the founding fathers of Sigmundus. So let's switch over to Sigmundus a little bit. We know that Sigmundus is we know that Sigmundus has been created from the first 2 seasons, and we know that these are the characters. We know that's Bartaj, Magnus, Adam, aka Jonas, Agnes, and Noah, and Francesca right here. The foundation of Sigmundus is very interesting, and I love the fact that I'm not going to tell you exactly who the other people are, because that's something you have to figure out in the 3rd season. And I'm going to tell you though, we know that when at the end of the 2nd season, Jonas takes Magnus, Bartaj, and Francesca, and he goes somewhere with them. So we can always attribute that to him founding Sigmundus, and that's why Adam is a lot older than Bartaj, Magnus, and Francesca, because that is older future Jonas that takes them somewhere else. And clearly he takes them to the past based on the images we've seen of Sigmundus. But the formation of Sigmundus and the creation of it all really ties into the 1st season. And Dark itself, that's what, like, if anything, Dark leaves no stone unturned. And when they tell you everything is connected, anything and everything is connected, because the fact that they can take Sigmundus, bring it back to a strong connection to the 1st season, I did not expect that at all. And that's something that really plays well in this final season, is the fact that they connected every plot point that you've seen in the first 2 seasons. They actually matter and get explained in this 3rd season. And to me, like, they left no stone unturned. Every character you've seen had any form of significant screen time at all in any season that you can think of actually matters and plays a part in this. And you can't ask a show to do anything more than that, because that's all we can really ask for. And by the time we get to Jonas in, what year was it? When Jonas goes back in time to 1921, right? That would mean that Sigmundus was already formed. So naturally, if you take away 33 years from that and you see Bartaj and all of them are grown up in that time period, you can pretty much tell when and where they go in time. And the fact that it works, the fact that everything ties into each other, really adds a lot of weight to the decisions that some of these characters make. It really shows us just how controlling and manipulative that Adam really is, that he actually works to make these characters follow through in his plan. And the entirety of his plan hinges on all of this working. Now, what I do want to get into before we go too deep into just talking about Adam and what he's done, I want to talk about somebody who I think is very important and who plays a key role in the 3rd season. And I want to switch and show you guys when it comes to the 3rd season and just a hint and discussion about some new things that actually still works. Okay, so what Dark does is, okay, this new character comes in the 3rd season, and I know you guys saw him in the trailer, and the fact that he shows up, it's a big deal. Like, the fact that we're in the 3rd season, and I want you guys to know the 3rd season is only 8 episodes. Dark introduced this guy who is a very key player in the 3rd season, and I want to say that being a key player in the 3rd season, this guy comes in with a bang. Like, I'm keeping this spoiler free, but this guy right here, he comes in, you see his 3 different versions of himself. So he's clearly attuned with time travel, and he's clearly somebody who works with what is happening. And we also see this in the trailer. This is the same guy, and he's talking to Eve. Now, at this point, if you guys checked out one of my other videos, you'll know I did a video with a theory that Adam is Jonas, so therefore Eve must be Martha too, from the 2nd universe. And the trailer pretty much all but confirms it, and we know this character works with Eve. And the way that he fits into the story narratively makes the time loop work. Like, he comes out of nowhere. Like, this character is just introduced in the trailers, and he's introduced in the 3rd season, and he holds weight. But that's not to say like he overshadows everybody else because everyone in Dark matters. That's one thing that the show really does, is that there's no character who doesn't really matter when it comes to the actuality of their role in the series. And I just want to say this again, like I said, I'm keeping this spoiler free, but this guy matters. This guy, his weight, his gravitas, and what he does really matters, in the sense that he ties the characters together. Like he ties a majority of the characters together, and it's his role that really defines and really is the one who makes things work. The machinations of Dark work because of him, and the way that he moves and the way that he goes about manipulating or moving through the universes. Because we know Adam's goal is to destroy the time loop. We know that. But if this guy comes in the trailer, you see him burning down Sigmundus. The theory with this guy is that he actually is against Adam, which is an interesting theory in itself. I've seen that theory float around because of that. And the theory itself works in the context of all we've seen in the trailer. But this guy, like, I want you to pay very close attention to him, because he plays a major role in everything that we know about Dark. Everything that we know about the time loop is kind of held together by this guy. But not just him, various other characters also work to make stuff like that happen. Various other characters also work to make certain individuals matter. And that's what I want to switch into, because when it comes to certain characters, such as Claudia, right? Claudia, we've known from the very first season, has played a pivotal role in the entirety of Dark. Claudia's 3 forms play a significant role in the formation of everything. For example, her younger self, we know that her younger self is involved with Trant Nielsen back in 1952, 1953. And it's one thing that she shapes Trant's future, which we know Trant becomes Ulrich's father, and Ulrich becomes Mikkel's father, and Mikkel becomes Jonas's father. So we know she plays a key role in the development of Trant. But then you have the second Claudia, who begins the assertion of the White Devil. And we know at the end of the second season, she killed her father, Egon. But then she goes and she sets Jonas upon his journey to become Jonas, essentially, to become the stranger, to become Adam, to become who he is. And then we have the third and final form, her older self, who at this point in the season, we know at the end of the second season, she's killed by Noah, because Noah gave her the missing pages, and Noah was sent by Adam to deal with her. And we know at this point, she's fighting against Adam. So her character progression goes from shaping Jonas's great-grandfather, and that shapes Jonas's father, which shapes him. And then she goes to helping Jonas in her second form, her middle form. She goes to save her daughter at the end of the second season. So she takes Regina with her, and she shapes Jonas to become who he is. But then in her final form, her and Jonas seem to have a rift, right? We know that at the end of the second season, her and Jonas are enemies. She is the White Devil to whatever they have. And question answered. I'm going to answer Jeff Zior's question about, is that man anyone else's family member or a new family? That man is somebody's family member. That man is related to the characters already in the show. And Mikkel is not Adam. We already established that in the second season. Mikkel is Jonas. No, Adam is Jonas. But when it comes to Claudia, her role is not done yet. Even though we know she died at the second season finale, like the older version, we know that because characters exist in a time loop, they can always appear at different time periods and be who they are. So that matters, that works. And Claudia's role in the second and third season and the first season really plays a pivotal matter. I want to say, when it comes to the overarching characters, the 3 main characters that really matter in this show, like when it comes to like who you would call the great manipulators or the main characters of the third season or the first few seasons, actually the entirety of Dark, we know for one that when it comes to everything else, Adam, Jonas, and the stranger is our main character. Adam being who he is makes him the main character and makes him Jonas. And by the virtue of him being Jonas, he matters. He matters a great deal because of just what he can do and what we've been following from the first few seasons. He is essentially the main character. He is the one who we've been following from the get-go, and it's his story, and everyone else is just a part of his story in a sense. Yes, everyone else is a part of his story, and because of that, he plays a significant role, and he is our main character. He is the man who we follow throughout, and it's his story. But after Jonas, we have two other characters who play major roles in this season. And not just this season, but the story, because it just doesn't follow Adam alone. Like, Adam isn't the only one who is of importance in the show. And the other character who actually matters a lot is Martha. We know that Martha herself is his love interest and the person that we've been following in the entirety of the third season, because she comes from another universe. While the Martha we may know has passed, this person who Jonas was with is actually somebody else, and that ties a major role into just how important that she is, because in the first two seasons his entire thing was to go back to his Martha, be with his Martha. But when she passes and Adam kills her, right? Not passes because she was murdered, and when Adam kills her, that actually hurts Jonas a lot, but that doesn't change the fact that she is a main character, and she is somebody who really matters and who really shapes the story. So the story itself is, we have two protagonists in that sense. Jonas and Adam, and future Jonas is a protagonist. Martha is another protagonist. But then we go back to Claudia, and Claudia is also a protagonist in this, because of the people who have been moving through time, we know that she, Adam, and as well as Martha have been the ones manipulating the scenes and fighting for supremacy of time, if you will, to try to break the cycle and ensure that the cycle happens, or just have a basic manipulation. But I want to go ahead and talk about one more person who I think plays a pivotal role in the entirety of Dark, and that is Hannah, the mother of Jonas. And I want to say that when it comes to Hannah, to me, before I saw the third season, my prevailing theory was that Hannah is by far the biggest key of the final season and the show in its entirety. And I'm not going to tell you whether she is or not. Again, I'm trying to keep this spoiler free. But I want to say this thing. We know that she is in possession of a time machine. She is in possession of an apparatus that controls time. So far, we have our main characters. Jonas has a time machine. Claudia has a time machine. Martha from her universe has her own time machine. And Hannah has a time machine. That would go on to mean that Hannah plays a pivotal role in the manipulation of the cycle and the manipulation of the show in its entirety. And let me see some theories. Before I go on with Martha and before I go on with Hannah, I want to look at some of your questions. Let me see. Harsh VB asks, do Adam and Eve have a child? That I cannot tell you guys because that would be a spoiler, and I'm trying to keep this spoiler free. But if you guys want to know some of the things, like DM me personally, I want you guys to know that if you guys really want to ask me a personal question, you guys should go on Twitter. And if you follow me on Twitter, I could be able to give you more answers on just what you guys want to know. Like if you guys DM me on Twitter, and again, you guys don't mind anything, you guys can go to Twitter and I can tell you guys, just follow me on there. And if you guys want to know more personal stuff and that discuss things I can't discuss on this live stream, follow me on Twitter and I'll be able to help you guys there. Let's see. My theory is that Hannah and Egon have a child, and that child is Celia. Celia being the girl from the future with the scar. That's an interesting theory. I'd love to know how you came up with that theory. Adam, you said Egon and Martha have a child and that becomes Celia. I want to know, Cedric, why do you feel like Hannah ends up with Egon? That's a very interesting theory to come up with. And it's something that initially I would have never thought of. Egon Tiedemann being Claudia's parent and Celia, that would make Celia Claudia's sister. I'd love to hear why you have that theory. And let me see. Edward 2 saying, I wonder if Martha 2 ever showed up in Universe 1 during the first 2 seasons. Oh, that's what you're saying. Kind of like how Jonas showed up in the 2nd season and how it becomes he took his own Jonas' place and had his first kiss with Martha. Remember in season 2, when Martha and Jonas have their first kiss, it is not Jonas's first kiss with Martha. It is his second kiss. And that is crazy because in the 2nd season, Jonas and his 2 forms kind of interchange different perspectives because at that point, that is Jonas's first time kissing Martha, or is it Martha's first kiss with Jonas? It's Martha's first kiss with Jonas from the future, but then when they have sex later on, that's Jonas's first kiss with Martha, so it kind of works. Let's see. Let me see some other questions. Harsh says, the series might end in Jonas killing himself to end the cycle. I kind of want to get into that. I kind of want to get into that a little bit more because that's another thing I find very interesting, and I kind of want to get into that. So let's switch over. So your theory, this is the family tree. This is the dark family tree, and we know that these families are intrinsically linked to one another because one key cog is that they're all related and they go back to 1921 where we have Noah and Agnes being the progenitors of the Nielsen family, the Conrads, and kind of manipulating the Dopplers in a sense. But your theory about Jonas killing himself would be something that is interesting, but I want to ask you this. If Jonas kills himself to end the cycle, that would be something that works. But can that happen? Think about it. At the end of the 2nd season, right? Adam shows up to kill, not Adam, but Noah shows up to kill Adam. And when he shoots him, Adam doesn't die. The gun jammed, or the safety was on, and he fixed that. But it was too late. Someone else killed him. And also in the 2nd season, when they hung Jonas in the future to kill him, he doesn't, they stop it. I have a theory that Jonas cannot die or be killed. Think about it. Because when we talk about time travel and we talk about a cyclical cycle and things of the past cannot change. Because notice in Dark, everything that's happened in the past is caused by something of the future. So you can't change anything because in the 1st season, remember when Ulrich went back in time to try to kill Helge Doppler as a child, and that's what actually set him on to become Helge with the fucked up face, right? Because he went back and changed that. You can't change certain things. When you try to do it, it actually exacerbates whatever you want to becoming what it is. So I don't believe you can kill your past self because your future self already exists. And Jonas has to grow up to become the stranger. He has to grow up to become Adam. So killing past Jonas, I don't believe can change the past. That's my thing on it. And let me go to another question. Let's see. Do Adam and Eve, I wonder if Martha told the seed might end. Sarav asks, who is Celia's parents and who is Boris Neilwald's parents? Okay, in the 3rd season, those questions are answered. And when you find out who is Celia's parents, mine is going to be fucking blown, bro. But that is for the 3rd season. I can't spoil that. Let's see. I think Adam has some work with Claudia. Adam has worked with Claudia. Why do you say that? Because we see that they're fighting each other, or not fighting per se, but they're working against each other, trying to usurp each other's plans. So why would you believe that Adam is working with Claudia? I'd love to hear a follow-up from you. Let's see. Arnoa, hold on. Well, in some promo photos, we see Hannah and Egon together, and we know that Hannah is starting a new life in 53. Cedric, I want to say I can no longer confirm nor deny anything else, because again, that'll be stepping to spoiler territories. But good eye, I will say the fact that you're paying attention to the trailer really adds to some good eye. And maybe you're right, maybe you're not. I don't want to go into that and spoil anything else. Let's see some questions. Let's see. Noah and Agnes are children of Adam and Eve. I can't deny or say anything about that. Cedric also said, I thought that was ruled out. Katerina also has this conversation with a stranger. He says that he cannot be killed because Adam already exists. Exactly. It was already pointed out, and that can't happen. Like, you can't stop yourself from becoming who you are, because that's just not how this time paradox works. The closed time loop has to happen, and you have to become that person. Let's see. Show asks, just tell me if season 3 was satisfying in every way and whether the ending did justice to the show. Show, I'm going to tell you, season 3 was satisfying and did the show justice. It was a closure that was very bittersweet, but at the same time, it's something that you were not expecting. And really, like, when I saw the way that the show closed, it solidified Dark to me as by far top 5 greatest shows of all time. Like, by far top 5 greatest shows of all time, because Dark goes and tells a story and doesn't break its own rules, and the finales work. Like, a lot of theories come and go, but the finale of Dark actually works in that aspect. Harsh says, I don't even understand how the cycle will end, as how can Jonas just do it different, or anyone will do anything different, as there are future versions who have thought they've done the same thing. Let me see. Harsh, now I'm going to lead you to another theory that I have with Dark. Okay? Because of what you just said and what your question said about them trying to do other things differently, they actually end up doing what they did. I want to say that that is completely correct. My theory, and my main theory about Dark, since I first saw the first season, my theory has been nothing can change and nothing will change, and that's how Dark will end. And that is something that I feel like the show itself is called Dark, but what is so dark about it? If you change a theory or you change the cycle, if you change the cycle, what makes the show dark? What makes the show be called Dark if you can actually change things and you get a happy ending? So my theory is nothing can change, and that's just how it is, and that's just what it is. So I want to say that I agree with you there. I'm not going to confirm nor deny what happens, but that is my prevailing theory throughout the entirety of Dark, and I'm not going to tell you whether season 3 confirms it or not, but that's something I found very interesting. Let me move on to another question. Yes, Harsh, I cried at the end. I cried. Like, the show is the story of Dark itself is such a tragic show, but yet because of the love that because of the love that Martha and Jonas has, and the lengths that they're going through to try to end this cycle, to try to end the time loop, and to try to end everything, and the lengths that they will not stop at to be free of this. I cried when I finally saw the show and how it ended. Now, I'm not going to tell you if it's sad tears or if it's happy tears, but I cried. Let's see. I hope Dark goes up from 8 to at least 9 on IMDb with the new season release. The new season would definitely make Dark go up, because the ending is satisfactory. Let's think about a show like Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones rating went down because the writing in the show goes downhill. But with Dark, the writing goes up, and it's as though the writers and the creators of the show already had the entire story mapped out. So there is no plot hole in the show at all. I specifically watch Dark and I try to poke a hole in their time theory, because if you think about time movies, Back to the Future or Avengers Endgame, right? There's always something that just doesn't add up when it comes to the way they explain time. But in Dark, you can't poke a hole. It's just one complete and beautiful story. And to me, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than creating a story that works and a story that isn't convoluted. So yes, the rating will go up. Let's see. Everything started from the point when the BingeZone was born and now has to end in this mess. Good one. Thank you. You just made me very happy. I'm glad I did show. Harry Houdini. I think they want the same thing. Life with no miss. But they also know they can't achieve that unless they make things go how it was before. And Adam knew that Claudia told Noah. Yes, they know that for them to create a new thing, everything has to go, and there might be slight variations. Because that's what Adam told Jonas. There's slight variations in just what can happen in his mind, at least in Adam's mind. Because remember, Adam is just a grown-up version of Jonas, regurgitating the same thing that Adam told him and just repeating the cycle. So in his mind, it goes that way. But is that necessarily the case? Or is Adam just following in the footsteps of his already failed self? That's something that's very interesting. Let's see. Jeff says, World 1 and World 2 are just tests and everything is controlled by World 3. Just a theory I saw. World 1 and World 2 are just a test and everything is connected by World 3. That would mean that there is a third world, you're telling me, and that third world is testing grounds for the first two worlds, as though they're running an experiment on the two worlds to see how time travel works. That's funny, because that is a theory I never thought of. I never even thought of a third world being a part of this. I just thought it was a duality, a dyad, if you will. But the inclusion of a third world could actually work. And I'd love to discuss that further with you. And for me to do that, I would love for you to actually go on Twitter and follow me on Twitter, message me on Twitter, so that way I can actually get into discussing some things that I can't discuss on the live chat now. So again, if you guys want to discuss more with me, go on Twitter and we can actually discuss that theory, because it's a very interesting one and I want to get deeper into why you believe there's a third world. Because watching the first two seasons, I never once thought that a third world could exist. And that's a very interesting theory that I'd love to really get into. Let's see. Let's go another one. Anik says, Dark is the best series ever made. Best series ever made? It's creeping up there for me, but I could be biased because I just love this show so much. So I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no. But to me, Dark is up there. Dark is by far, I will say this, Dark is the best series on Netflix, bar none. International, national, it doesn't matter to me. The complete storytelling of Dark, the intrinsic nature and the intricacies that the show goes into, the fact that it's a show that you have to think about really solidifies it as one of the better shows for me. Let's see. Is Boss asks, is this a Q&A? Yes. Let's see. Dark will be synced in English, heard. Hope that more people get to see it. Yes. As I was watching the third season, I watched the show in German and English subtitles. But as I was watching the third season, Netflix was still fixing some of the technical things about it. And when I played the final episode, it was in English. And I was like, okay, so Netflix is actually paying more attention to the English audience and trying to get us to understand it. So yes, Dark will be in English because I believe that they're adding more English components to make it that much more popular. And also, Netflix has already given the creators of Dark license to create another show that will be on Netflix. So I'm super excited about that. Let's see, Boss says, what makes an egg delicious if you don't peel Danny DeVito off? God, I can't wait. Let me continue another question before Let me continue to another question before spoiling Dark. Let's see. How many characters are going to die in season 3? I have a better question for you. Let me ask you. How many characters have died so far in the first season? The only character I remember dying was Michael and Old Man Helge. So that's 2 characters in the first season. We go to the second season and Martha dies and Egon dies. That's 2 characters that I can remember. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but that's 2 characters. So the third season, you wouldn't know how many more characters die. We could do 2 things. You could guess the number, or you could look at the pattern of 2, 2, 2, and maybe that works in the second season. Or maybe it's a fucking bloodbath and everybody dies, or it's a savior and they finally go to paradise. Because remember, in the future, they're hoping for a paradise that they exist in a world where no one dies and no one suffers. That's a question I'm going to ask you to actually think about, because again, I've seen it and I don't want to tell you guys anything. Let me see. Cedric says, might the new trio to be father of Jonas replacement in the alt world? The new trio would be... Who would the new trio be? Would the new trio be... You mean this guy? You're asking if this guy would be Jonas's father in the alt world, and Martha 2 in Earth. Let's just call it Earth 2. Let's call him the main one Earth 1 and the other world Earth 2. You're saying if this guy would be Jonas's father in Earth 2, but Jonas doesn't exist, or maybe he can be the one who becomes Jonas's father. That's a good theory. You know what? I'm going to tease you a little bit. His relationship with Jonas is complicated. I'm going to say that, but his relationship with Jonas is complicated. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it is a complicated issue, and I don't want to get too deep into that. But let's just say his relationship with Jonas is complicated. We see that with him burning down Sigmundus, so we know that's a complicated thing there. Let me see another question. Let's see. Is there just one thought or just one small minute which they can be changed, which will break the cycle? As if there's one small instance that they can actually break the cycle is what you're asking. We know that Adam said that in the second season, every cycle has a small variation, right? Maybe a minute variation that changes things. If Adam says that in the second season, I can only say that it's something to look forward to, and it's something that probably can be exploited. We'll find that out in the third season, but remember, Adam already discussed this in the second season, so that's something we could look to. Let's see. What is different in this cycle? I don't understand, man. What's different in this cycle? I'm going to ask you this, Harsh. Is anything different in this cycle? Because we know that Jonas grows up to become Adam, right? So he's following the cycle regardless. It's cyclical. So is there anything different? Or maybe Adam's delusional? Because so far we know that he's following the cycle, but could something be different? They think it is, but so far from everything we've seen from the first 2 seasons, nothing seems to be different. So is it different, or is he just tripping? Let's see. I've always watched Dark in English. When I first watched Dark, I think it was in English, but I'm mildly OCD when it comes to my dubs. And when I'm watching a foreign show and they're speaking and their lips are moving and not in the words that I know, it kind of drives me nuts. So I switched to the original audio, because my thing is like, I'm not saying I'm an amazing lip reader, but when your lips are saying one thing and the words I'm saying don't align, I just can't watch it. So I watch it in German with the English subtitles, because I also feel like the expressions match the tone of the characters. So there's that. I agree, Dark is tough for me. I like Lie to Me as well. Lie to Me, I have not seen. I'm gonna check that out though, because if you like Dark and you like Lie to Me, there has to be some correlation. That means it's a good show. Let's see. For me, watching international shows in the unoriginal language takes the immersion out. Exactly like I talked about. Like I just fall out of it. Second season, Claudia and Noah died as well. Okay, those. You're right. In the first season, 2 people died. In the second season, 4 people died. So could 8 people die in the third season or 6? That is something I have to look into actually because I've seen it and I'm not gonna tell you who if there's any deaths or who dies, but 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 8, 2, 4, 16. Huh. That's another. It's dark, so the numbers probably matter. I'm actually gonna look into that. I'm really excited now. I'm actually gonna look into that. Noah and Bartosz also died. That makes 36. Okay, I have to count. Dark never does anything unintentional, so I have to go back and count the deaths of the characters and add some pattern to it because everything in Dark is cyclical and everything matters. So there has to be some sort of pattern behind the deaths of the characters. Mikkel, Claudia, Egon, Helge, Noah, Bartosz, Martha. Okay, let's be honest. We all know that Gretchen is Adams. Gretchen the dog. Gretchen is the thing. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Gretchen is a thing. It's funny that the dog gets to time travel, right? Like, and it's always these shows always have characters and MacGuffins who might not necessarily be human. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm neither confirming nor denying whether Gretchen is Adam or not. Is Hannah the woman in the lake theory is correct who kills her older Ulrich? Is Hannah the woman in the lake? No. I'm going to say that. The woman in the lake is Hannah the woman in the lake in the trailer who's bashing somebody's head in is what you're asking. Hannah is in 1953. So yeah, no, that time period in the trailer doesn't really add up. I think Bartosz's fate was never truly clarified in the first 2 seasons. I think we're going to see how it pans out for him this season. Bartosz, I like where you're going with this because if you remember in the first season, Bartosz and Noah played a significant role and Noah and Bartosz were working together. The second season really doesn't go too deep into what Bartosz was doing with Noah at all. But I will say the third season gets into Noah and Bartosz and what they were doing. So yes, Bartosz has a more significant role in the third season because we know that the Easter egg the egg was planted in the first season that he's working with Noah. We know that, and we also know that we never saw what they were working on. So that works, and there is a more significant presence of Bartosz. And like I said, the third season of Dark ties in every other season together beautifully. So a plot point that you might have thought of, like what was Noah and Bartosz really up to, that comes to light somewhat in the third season because Dark leaves no stone unturned. Any question you have, these guys actually answer it, and that works beautifully when it comes to creating a narrative structure that has a beginning, middle, and end. That works. Let's see. I think Dark wouldn't work if it wasn't German. I could see that. I could see that because the nuances of the character performances and some of the actual intricacies of it work because of the cultural differences between what we have and the show itself being German. Where do you live? I live in Florida. Do Adam and Eva both have the same mission? I mean, they both are together in the mission. Do Adam and Eve have the same mission? Do Adam and Eve have the same mission? When it comes to Adam and Eve, I will say that we know in the trailer for the third season that the new guy, the trio, the kid, the adult, and the grown-up version burned down Sigmundus. We know that in the trailer. We've seen that happen. We've seen him go and burn down that, right? We've seen him burn down Sigmundus. But at the same time, when it comes to this guy, right? We see him do that, but we also see that he works with Ava. So if he works with Eva and he burned down Sigmundus, does he work with them, or is it something completely different? I'm gonna leave that to you guys to discuss, but that is an interesting theory. Do they work together? I'm just gonna say that part. Let's see. What does Eve have scars? Does Eve have scars like Adam? Does Eve have scars like Adam? I'm not gonna get into that. You're gonna have to see how Eve looks. But for me to go into that would to tell you the scars of Adam and the scars of Eve, the significance if she has, how it happens, and I can't really get into that without spoiling major plot points from the third season. So I don't want to get into that. Which is your favorite season now? My favorite season of Dark is by far season 3. By far season 3. Because I love to see how everything ties together. I love the exploration of the second world. I wish Dark, the final season, was a bit longer. I wish they would have made it like, it was 10, 18, 12. I wish they would have made the second season at least 15 episodes. That way we could have got in 33 episodes in total, and we could have spent a lot more time living in a world without Jonas. Like I would have loved for like the first 8 episodes to just be about Earth 2 and following Martha's journey. How did she become the traveler? Going into the different variations of the characters. You know how in the first season we followed Jonas's entire story? I would have loved for the third season to split into 2 parts where it's essentially a mirror of the entirety of the first season, but from Hannah's perspective. I said Hannah. Martha. I keep mistaking Hannah and Martha. From Martha's perspective, I would have loved that to be a little longer. So, but I will say by far season 3 is my favorite season. Does Claudia have any screen time in the third season? Yes, Claudia has a lot of screen time. We know that she was in the bunker at the end of season 2, and we know that Claudia has had a lot of screen time in all the seasons. Claudia is one of the 3 most main important characters in this show. It's Jonas, it's Martha, it's Claudia, to me, personally. A few days ago, I watched a German talk about the last season, and the participants stated that this one was the best finales ever. They hinted that Waller's eye injury might be solved. Okay. Yes. This ending for Dark was so satisfactory. Like, it worked. I love the way that it tied it in. I love the way that it works. And yes, this is by far one of the most satisfactory endings in any TV show I've ever seen. And it works. And Waller's eye, man. To me, the biggest mystery in all of Dark is Waller's eye. And they get into it. That's what I'm going to say. Did you get access to the whole of season 3 or part of it? I've seen the entirety of the third season. The whole thing. I had access to all 8 episodes. I've watched them all already. By the way, I think Martha will meet herself at the same age or a bit older. Is that right? Martha meet herself at the same age or a bit older. So you're saying if Martha is 16, like I think Jonas is in 2019, that she's going to meet a 16-year-old version of herself? Martha is a mirror of Jonas. Did Jonas meet a same version of himself? That's a question I'm going to pass on to you. I agree because I saw some pictures. Okay. Let's see. Is Dark your favorite show or does someone else top it? Dark is my favorite show. I have where is it? I have a poster. I just bought a poster of Dark. Once I set my new studio, you're gonna see a big prominent poster of Dark behind me in all the videos. Let's see. There are 8 episodes in season 3. Lie to Me is about to study about the micro expression. It's not complex as Dark. Dark goes deep into topics of free choice and the fact that all our actions are based on emotion and self-interest. Yes, Dark is about free choice, free will, our own personal interest, and the lengths we'll go to the satiate our own interest is. Because think about the character of Adam. Adam himself is a character who really, really cares about himself and what he can achieve. Like his whole goal is for him to save the world and go back to being himself, go back to having Martha. Even though he shot Martha at the end of the second season, he's never wavered from the fact that everything he's doing is to stop the time loop and be with Martha. So that's something that really is self-interested if you think about it. Let's see another question. Let's see. DJ Funny, you forgot Claudia died in season 2. Yes, Claudia did die in the second season, but remember that Claudia at that age point in time did die. But also remember there are various other versions of Claudia running throughout the times loop. And just because that Claudia died doesn't mean a version of herself before she died doesn't play a significant role in the final season. Because remember, at that point, she is the White Devil and she has lived her past life. But the past version of herself hasn't died yet. And they can't die because that version exists. Let's see. So Waller is the name of the new guy. No. Waller is the guy in the first 2 seasons with the eye patch over his eye. Remember? That is Waller. That's not the new guy's name. I think Peter is the one who starts all of this. The beginning and the end is the apocalypse. When he saw everyone die, he invents the time machine to save everyone. Peter Doppler being the progenitor of the time machine. Can Peter be the progenitor of the time machine? I don't think Peter is the progenitor, could be the progenitor of the time machine. Remember, in the first season, the time machine sort of creates itself. It sort of exists in the time loop. It has no beginning, it has no end. Because remember, Old Man Townhouse, the one who wrote the book, the one who created the time machine, they brought the blueprints to him. Claudia brought him the blueprints and he created the time apparatus, H.G. Townhouse. So he is the progenitor of the time machine, even though that he built the blueprint, it was given to him, and it really focuses about Old Man Townhouse and how he works with the time machine. So I can safely say that it's not necessarily Peter that creates the time machine, it's Townhouse. He creates the time machine. But Peter does play an important role, if that matters. Like, Peter is in season 3 a lot, and he's been in the first few seasons, and he is the son of Helge Doppler, and we know Helge played a big thing in the first 2 seasons. So we know that Peter matters. Peter matters. Let's see. Do they end the cycle at the end of the series or something strange happening? Please give me a clue. I can't give you a clue as to if the cycle ends or something strange happens. All I can say is the ending works very well, and the ending works within the mythology that Dark has created. Let's see. If I remember it right, the 3 men with the hair lip exist in both worlds, since I think I saw them mirrored as well. The new character in season 3 you're talking about. You're talking about the new character. You're saying that he exists in both worlds. So you're saying that he's a character that exists in Earth 1 and he also exists in Earth 2. So essentially, one is burning Sigmundus in Earth 1, while in Earth 2 the other one works for Eva, is what you're saying. That's a fair theory. I would neither confirm nor deny, But that is a fair theory, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's see. I think Katerina and Miko hugging. They are in the art room where Michael killed himself, which can mean that they're going to be living in the house of Hannah in Outworld. In the trailer, Katerina and Miko living in the Conwald house in the third season. I'll say this. Martha is a mirror of Jonas. And Jonas lives in the Conwald house in Earth 1. So if that's the case and Katerina and Miko live in that house and they're mirrors, maybe they live in the older Conwald house. Like put two and two. I would say this. If Martha is the daughter of Katerina in the second Earth and she's a mirror of Jonas, it would naturally mean they live there. But that's if Katerina's her mother. And we don't know for certain if that's still the case or not, because it is a second universe. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's see. Dark is one of the most intelligent shows I've ever seen without being pretentious. It's such a satisfying mindfuck. Agreed, because a lot of shows are very pretentious and think highly of themselves when it comes to actually they get super heady in their own sci-fi mythology and they try to treat the audience or people who don't get it as if beneath them. But Dark is complex and complicated, but easy enough to digest that it works and you don't have to be super sci-fi nerd to get into Dark. Does Adam have a good motive? The motive of Adam is he is a grown, old, tired Jonas. And so far, all we've seen of Jonas is that it's all in the self-interest and ending his own suffering. So it's a bit selfish. So do that with what you will. But Adam is just a tired version of Jonas. I think Adam is a good character and Eva's a bad character. Any clues? Adam is a good character and Eva's bad. What if they're both bad? Or what if they're both good? Like with Dark, it's way more complicated than good and evil. Because remember in the first season, we thought Noah was the bad guy. We thought Noah was despicable. But by the end of the second season, we find out about Noah and it's like, Noah is not a bad guy. Noah's actually one of the best guys in one of the more tragic stories of Dark. So it's not necessarily good or evil. Like every character, good and evil is relative to our perspective, right? And if Noah could be a bad guy in the first season and be a good guy in the second season and vice versa, like I don't think anyone in the show is truly bad or anyone's good. It's just a matter of perspective and doing what you believe is right and doing what you believe is wrong. So for them to try to get a better understanding of just who they are as characters, that is something that isn't necessarily good or bad. Let's see. The biggest plot point is that Claudia helps Jonas in the past and in the future they are not enemies. Weird, I believe. That is the biggest plot point. And that is a plot point that is explored further in the third season because we saw in the second season that she's helping younger Jonas. But by the time they're both old, they're at odds and they see things differently. I will say this. Claudia is a smart woman. And Claudia becomes the white devil and she works against Adam and Adam works against her. But Claudia was head of the wind and power plant and she understood the God particle and she actually gets things. And Jonas is just a kid who grows up stuck in this time loop and trying to break it. So that perspective is a key role in the show. Like I said, no one's bad or good, but you understand both their perspectives in the third season. You understand why Claudia is the way she is and what she's trying to accomplish. You understand why Jonas is who he is and what he's trying to accomplish. And then you also understand why Martha is the way she is and tries to do things her way. Let's see. Does Jonas rescue Aunt Martha from the apocalypse in her world so she can save him in turn? There's a scene in the trailer where you see him tackle her as they're disappearing at the end of this trailer. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna confirm nor deny that, but there is a scene in the trailer where he does tackle her and they kind of dissipate into a time thing. So do that with that as you will. Let's see. Jonas didn't meet himself from the trailers. Martha met Jonas before her scars, so she can travel to any time like Sigmundus. Is that time machine? Maybe can do it. Her time machine, Martha's time machine, is by far superior to Jonas's big ass time machine. First, hers is a ball complex, can go to different universes and different times, while Jonas is only a linear time machine. Let's see, which character of the Doppler family played the most important role in season 3? The Doppler family played the most important role. Which Doppler played the most important role? Elizabeth Doppler, because we know that she survives and she has to give birth to Charlotte. So Elizabeth plays the most important role, to me. In your opinion, I try not to spoil anything. Do you believe that whatever Adam does in season 3 makes him a good person? Do I believe the length that Adam goes to makes him a good person? No. So, I don't think so, because I don't think it makes him a bad person, but I don't think it makes him a good person either. I think he believes what he's doing is right. And again, that's a matter of perspective. But some of the things he does in the 3rd season, I can't get behind him. Even the 2nd season, I don't care what his motives were. I can't get behind him shooting Martha. And then he goes on to do more things in the 2nd season. In the 3rd season, you begin to understand why he does them. And I'm not saying it's justified, but you understand why he does the things that he does. Let's see. Is the apocalypse the end? I don't think it's the end, because we know in the 2nd season, Jonas went to 2052, which is the world post-apocalypse, and people were living there. So I'm not going to say it's the end. Does Jonas have a mirror? Or is the only character without a mirror? Does Jonas have a mirror? Jonas does not have a mirror, because remember in the 2nd season, Claudia said there's a world that exists where Jonas does not exist. So Jonas does not exist in the 2nd world. That was established during the 2nd season when Claudia said she saw a world without Jonas. Let's see. Have you watched the other German show, How to Sell Drugs Online Fast? How to Sell Drugs Online Fast. I have not watched that. I'm going to add it to my list, because I'm starting to really love some of the more Eurocentric shows on Netflix. So I'll definitely add that to my list. According to you, Eva is not a member of Sigmundus, and therefore she may follow some of her own group in which the trio members... Yes, Eva is not a member of Earth 1 Sigmundus. Eva has her own thing going on from her world, because remember, Sigmundus is part of Earth 1, so Eva being Jonas's counterpart and Eva being Adam's counterpart has her own thing going on. I'm super ready for season 3, yes. I think Adam is good and Eve is bad. We see a new villain every season. Do we see a new villain every season? Because the 1st season, the villain was Noah, and then we come to find out he's not a villain. In the 2nd season, the villain is Adam, but is he really a villain? And so in the 3rd season, that's the same thing could be posited. I will say Eva plays a role. I saw a photo online, Katerina, Mangus, Martha, and Mikko with dark hair, but the photo was torn apart like the one with Jonas. No comment on that. Hannah is so bad. Hannah's the worst. But I also feel some sort of pity for Hannah as a character, because she just wants to be loved at the end of the day. Who are in the light and who are in the dark? It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective. Adam thinks he's light. Someone else might think he's dark. Someone else might think they're light, and we might think they're dark. Light and dark in the show is our perspective. Did everyone become alive at the end? I mean, all the characters that died, do they come alive? No comment. Who is Celia? Celia plays a very... Dark does this thing where every character is super important. So Celia matters. Every character we've met and every character who's had any significant screen time really matters. And they play a deep role into some of the stuff that happens. Like, everyone matters. I can't really get into the details, but everyone has their own role to play and everyone matters. I have a feeling that this third season has a much faster pacing. Is that true? No. I think the third season's pacing works perfectly well. And because we have so many different, at this point we're in the alternate universe, we have so many different time periods we also visit, and we have so many different characters everywhere that every episode touches on the characters, and the slow moments are still there and the build-up still happens. We jump around a lot more. I will say that. We jump around a lot more, but I don't think the pacing itself is that much faster. Who is the child of Egon and Hannah? Please tell, at least, do they have any child at all? Please, child, name if you can. I'm confused as to what is the theory that Anna and Hannah and Egon have a kid. That's a very interesting theory. I'd love to hear where you guys got that from. Celia is the mother of Agnes and Noah, with stranger Jonas being the father. So you're saying that Jonas is his own great-great-grandfather. Interesting theory. Does Clausen get a lot of screen time? Clausen, the detective from the second season, does he get a lot of screen time? I can't confirm nor deny that because that would be giving away plot points. Can we get a clue about Celia? Yes, the biggest clue I can give you guys about Celia is Celia is a major character and can be attributed to being a key part of everything. Does Dark end in one timeline? Well, Dark is already exploring the many worlds theory, and by virtue of being a many worlds theory, can there only be one timeline? That's the question I'm asking you guys. So basically, Egon and Hannah don't have a child. I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying they don't. I just like to know, because I've seen the first two seasons, and I saw some of the set photos before I saw the third season, and I never thought about them having a kid. Like, that never came to mind. I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying they don't. But I just love to hear how that theory started, to be honest, because I could not put two and two together based on the information that I have without watching the third season. Once you see the third season, everything is answered. But before that, the clues that we have floating on the internet, I don't know how that theory came to be. I've watched all 8 episodes. You should do a video with Geeking with James Hancock. DJK Productions, I actually follow James. I like James's content. I would love to do a video with Geeking with James. I'm going to reach out to him. And if you could reach out to him too, I'd love to do a video with him and really discuss Dark and some other stuff, because I do follow him. I am a subscriber of his. I subscribe to a lot of people who do Dark videos as well. Like Pete, I subscribe to him. I also subscribe to Think Story. So yeah, I don't mind doing these videos and collaborating and talking about that. But I follow James a lot. Like, James does a great job of really getting into shows. And sometimes, even if I don't do a video on something, I know I'll watch James's point because James really gets into it. Is Boris Newall an important character? Yes. Okay. Boris, aka Alexander Tiedemann, is a very important character. Every character is important. I cannot stress this enough with Dark. Every character, the cycle only works because every character plays a major role in what happens in Dark. Like, no character, granted we have our main characters, but for some reason every character was placed on the show to do something that matters and progresses the story of Dark. Like, this is crazy. Like, the fact that Every character shows up. Shit, if you guys remember Benny from the first season, Benny's important. Benny's important in the third season. Like, if you have screen time, you're important. Like, I don't know how Dark does this, that it takes every character that it's ever introduced and given significant screen time. They're important. Heck, even the guy who went missing in the first season, Eric Obendorf, the Obendorfs are important. Like, it's crazy. Like, for them to create a show and incorporate so many characters and make them all matter, that, my God, like, it's masterful. Hints about the new character, the trio. Okay, I'm about to end the live stream soon, so I'll get into the trio. I'll get into the trio a little bit. No spoilers, of course, but the trio, his character, how can I say this? When it comes to the trio and what he does in this show, in this final season, okay, I got it. Damn, my eyes are getting watery. The trio's character, brought me to tears. He brought me to tears. Let's just say that. His character, like, you see, my eyes are getting watery now just thinking about his character. And maybe I'm over exaggerating it, but to me, because I understood the very nature of his character, like, it brought it, like, he's important, and he made me tear up, as you guys can see. He made me tear up. Let's see. Let's see. So everybody is related by blood then. Not everyone is related by blood, but the blood ties actually, in the third season, the blood ties matter a great deal in the overarching story of Dark. Do you consider Dark the best show ever made? Not one of the best, but the best of all time. Dark is the best show ever on Netflix. Of all time, I have to give it some serious thought, but I say it's in my top 3 for sure. Does Dark season 3 is more mind-fucking than the other 2 seasons? Yes. The third season of Dark is more mind-melding the first 2 seasons combined. Like, the many worlds theory, the different time periods, the very notion of the beginning and end of the loop, all of that is so mind-melding, and just it gets into a lot of pseudoscience, like time, the many worlds theory, Schrodinger's cat, and all of that. Like, when you get into that aspect, it really dives deep into real mindfuck and theoretical sciences and just the bond of the characters. And yes, it's more of a mindfuck than the first 2 seasons combined. I will say that. Will Clausen's brothers murder a subject in the third season? Yes, it's a subject matter in the third season. It comes up. Can't wait for next week. Is Gretchen the key to break the cycle? Is the dog the key to break the cycle? Huh! There's 2 ways I can answer that. Is Gretchen the key to breaking the cycle? I can say Gretchen is a key component of importance. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say. Is the trio badass? The trio is fucking badass. Like, yes, he is one bad, like, Dark. One thing we can say about Dark is when it comes to, like, action. The action is few and far between, but when it comes to the trio, he's badass. Like, he brings the action in the third season. He's a tragic character to me, but he brings the action. Let's see. I think trio is Mad Nielsen. No comment on that. I'm not gonna reveal the identity of the trio. Man, how did Baron and Jonta write this? I don't know how they wrote season 3 so well. Apparently, if they hadn't finished writing it after the release of season 2. Yo, like, that's the crazy part. The fact that they did not start writing this third season until after they finished the second season, yet it works. It feels as though they've written all 3 seasons at the same time, but they didn't. Like, they really dove deep into that. I really enjoy that. And I want to say, guys, I don't want to be the guy who does the shameless plugs again, but if you guys would, consider follow me on Twitter. Like, on Twitter, we can really get into the nitty gritty of stuff that I don't want to discuss. And I can take your requests on other shows, and I could actually do things of that nature when it comes to Twitter. And just follow me on Twitter, and we can really get into the nitty gritty of certain things. Let's see. How do you get access to the third season? Do you have like a special Netflix account? I have media access to Netflix because I do content on Netflix shows and reviews. So I get early screenings on certain shows, especially if it's a show I'm a big fan of. And the crazy part is, they've seen my videos and they reached out to me to give me the access to Dark, because I've been covering Dark since the show came out. Like, a lot of people got on Dark after the first season aired, but I was on Dark from the very beginning. Like, from the very time it came out, I was on Dark and I've been covering it. So they reached out to me on that. I enjoyed season 3. It wasn't more confusing, because I will say this: when it comes to season 3, some of the theories I had, if you guys check out some of my theory videos that I had, especially on season 3, a few of my theories have come true. And maybe, I will say this, maybe 1 or 2 have not panned out, but a few of my theories have actually come true. And that's because I think I'd like to think I get Dark. I understood it from the get-go, and I understood that's why I love the show of Dark, because every time I say that if Dark does this, it becomes the greatest show ever to me, in my own mind, in my own headcanon. It actually does, and I don't think they'd have the guts to actually do it, but they do, and it becomes great to me. Let's see. Gretchen or the most important poodle ever? I like Gretchen. Why is there a barren land scene in the Dark trailer? Does Wyndham become barren or something? The barren land scene in the trailer would... yes, the desert looking place. It matters, but I can't give a comment because it would then spoil a major plot point in the second season. But that barren land in the trailer really matters when it comes to Earth 2. I will say that. How do you like the soundtrack this season? The soundtrack gave me goosebumps. Like, certain scenes works because of the soundtrack. Like, I got goosebumps on some scenes. I got teary-eyed on some other scenes. And yeah, the soundtrack really works. And the soundtrack, to me, a soundtrack of a show or movie really adds to the enjoyment of it and really immerses you into it and really touches you on a feels level. You're definitely getting a follow on Twitter. Thank you, AIM. I would love to talk to Baron Bo-Odar on Dark. And some of the actors too, because I want to get into their mindset. But I want to get into Baron's mind of what really like, how did he come up with this show? And some of the actors, like, I really want to talk to the actor who played Martha, the actor who played Jonas, and Claudia. To me, and Ulrich, because in the first season, Ulrich was my favorite character. I would really love to get into their mindset and what they believe the core values of their characters are. Please cover more shows. Love your content. I will cover more shows in your content. How's Noah in season 3? I will say, to me, Noah went from a character I hated a lot, and by the time season 3 rolls around, I actually like Noah a lot. 2 characters in season 1 that I really didn't fuck with, I really didn't like, were Noah and Bartaj. But by season 3, Noah and Bartaj became 2 of my more sympathetic and favorite characters of the show. Does Dark have an ending better than Breaking Bad? Dark's ending is on par with Breaking Bad's ending, because Breaking Bad's ending was very bittersweet, and Dark's ending is very bittersweet. Dark's ending is a lot closer to Breaking Bad's ending to me, in the sense of scope and ending of the show. Does just 8 episodes justify Dark season 3? I wish it was more, but I like the fact that it was 8 episodes, because it didn't get too convoluted and it just works. Let's see. What's your overall favorite character of the show? My overall favorite character of the show. In the first season, it was Ulrich. In the second season, it became Jonas. I will say that my favorite character overall. Oh, I'm also very sympathetic to Egon Tiedman. But I will say my favorite character overall in the show is Claudia. Claudia becomes my favorite character in the show. To me, Claudia's character, her character journey, and just when you start to understand Claudia's motivations in the 3rd season, you see all her past actions, and you're like, Claudia might be the most pure-hearted character in the show. As you see her, those 3 forms of her, and you look at her, you're like, selfishness with Trump, selfishness in that time. By the time she becomes older, you start to understand, like, Claudia characters developed for the better. So it would be Claudia is by far my favorite character. Yeah, I would say Claudia is by far my favorite character. I want to get into this real quick. The dynamic between the Dopplers. This storyline was always, to me, super paradoxical, if you will, right? If that's the word. But I will say that their story, like the story of Dark, not just their story, but Charlotte and Elizabeth encompasses everything that is Dark. Like, the story is beautiful, tragic, dark, and it's confusing and mind-numbing. And if I could give a picture of if I could find any character that encompasses exactly what Dark is, it would be these 2 characters and their dynamic. Mother, daughter, mother, daughter, mother, daughter, mother, daughter. Like, they encompass the loop. If you will, the loop is them in a sense, right? Because they are a loop, and mother, daughter, mother, daughter, mother. Like, they're each other's mothers and daughters and grandmothers and granddaughters in an eternal loop. So they are what I would call, they are the character representation of what Dark is. And their story, to me, has always been a story that's like, they're the poster child of Dark. There you go. That's what they are. A poster child of Dark and everything it is to be in Dark. Let's see. Is Bartosz the husband of Agnes? Bartage, the husband of Agnes. No, because remember in season 2, Agnes was a child when Bartage and Sigmundus was there. Have every characters have their doppelgangers? Every character has a doppelganger in the second universe besides Jonas. All the episodes are an hour long. Miko is Adam is the question. Miko is not Adam. Is there any new character except the trio and Ava? Is there a new? Yes, there are new characters besides the trio and Ava. There are quite a few new characters, and they all fit in the overarching story, and they all matter. Like, it's crazy. Like, how do you introduce new characters in your final season, and they play a significant role? Which actor's performance impressed you the most? All seasons combined. Which character impressed me the most? Which character impressed me the most? Which actor's performance impressed me the most? Actor. Noah, the guy who plays Noah. Because if you saw the first season, like, he was a stone cold hard ass, right? Like, he was omnimus and he was towering and maniacal, almost, in a sense, menacing, not maniacal, but menacing. But then you see like, he can play menacing, and then he can play scary. Like, the actor's range and what he does, like, he can play a good guy, he can play a bad guy, he can play a slew of emotions in between. A lot of the characters on the show, like Jonas, for example, is always of the actor. It's no knock against the actor, but it's just the character representation of Jonas is always the tragic hero, always sad and somber. Like, I think we only saw him smile twice in the first few seasons, so the script did not ask for a range from him. But when it comes to Noah, the script asks a lot out of him, because he had to become the menacing bad guy in the first season. He had to become conflicted in the second season. And the third season, we spent some time, because we know at the end of the season, him and Elizabeth are in the bunker. And then we spend time watching them grow as characters. And you see how he becomes the person he is. You see his gradual progression. And on the fact that only one actor plays him, excluding the child version of himself. I'm talking about the old man, like the old Helge with the priest hat and all that. Like, his actor did a really good job. Is there any screen time from Miko? Yes, there's a lot of screen time with Miko in this third season. Imagine Mother's Day at the Doppler family. Would they have to give each other unending gifts on Mother's Day? Like, Happy Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day, Happy, like, it'd go on forever. Where does the stranger take Magnus, Francesca, Bartage to at the end of the season to help with the help of the time machine? He takes them to the past where they eventually become Sigmundus and they grow into that. Let's see. Does the infinity symbol in the family tree represents a character or event that is the origin? The infinity symbol. It represents both an event and a character. And the infinity symbol is the origin of the loop and the continuation of said loop. So yes, it represents a person and it represents a thing. That's what I'll say about the infinity symbol. Wait, so if there's no Jonas in the alt world, then Miko never went missing. I can't deny nor confirm that. What is the surname of Alt Martha? What is her surname? I don't know. I don't know if I can reveal that, actually, because that would give plot points out. Will you post an ending explain after the show is released? Yes, I will post an ending explain about the show. These are all my notes on the final season. Like, these are my notes on the final season. So I'm gonna go into the ending explain. I took notes. I'm actually gonna record that on Tuesday, have it edited between Wednesday and Thursday, and I'll have it ending explained out by the time the show's out. Any interest in learning German now? I think I'm going to keep watching German shows and just pick up certain words. I don't think I'm going to fully get into the entirety of learning German. Does it unsolve the mystery like Waller's Eye and Boris Nielsen? Or Boris Neilwald. Waller's Eye. The mystery behind Waller's Eye is dived into in this season, and Boris Newald is also dived into in this season as well. And I kind of feel bad for Alexander Tiedemann when it comes to that and the story behind that. I'll say that much. Is the origin the birth of Jonas? The origin is the birth of a character. I'll say that. I won't tell you if it's Jonas or not, but the origin is the birth of a character. Will Martha overshadow Jonas in season 3? No. I think season 3 is the epitome of what they're trying to go with the show. It's a perfect dyad between Jonas and Martha. So no, I think they have equal amount of screen time, if not slightly more to Jonas. No, it's the perfect dyad. But we never forget that the show is Jonas's story. But it's the perfect dyad. In which episode will we learn about the loop? It's funny. We actually learned about the loop in the second episode of the final season. Like, the story comes complete circle, no pun intended, in like the second or third episode, I believe, and we get the answers behind that. And the rest of the season is trying to break the loop per se. If you're offered to trade your season 3 notes for $1 billion and you're promised that it won't be made public, will you do it? Shit, of course. Actually, in German, W is pronounced like V in English. So Waller would be Waller. W is pronounced V, so Waller would be Waller. Wait would be Wait, and stuff like that. Because I do notice that a lot of the words in German, I guess because it's all Anglo-Germanic, all those European languages have some sort of root. There are a few words in German that sounds eerily close to their English counterparts. Adam is Mikko? No, Adam is not Mikko. Does it answer the questions of origin, or is it just says there's no Jonas? It answers the question of origin. Season 2 or Earth 2 really answers the question of what is the origin of the time loop. The beginning and the end of the time loop are one and the same. I will say that. Is Alexander an alternate Mads Nielsen? No. Is Jana and Ines sisters? Ines Conwald and Jana is Trant's wife. And you're asking, are they sisters? No. But guys, anyway, that's it for this video. I will say this though. Next Sunday, around the same time, I will have a post-show spoiler discussion where we can really dive, because the show would have been out by this time next Sunday, and I'm gonna have a live stream where we actually talk about the characters in full and really get into the spoilers of the final season and the entire show, and we're gonna discuss some plot points. And I would love to know what you guys like and don't like about the final season, what made sense and what doesn't make sense. By that time, also my ending explained video will have been out, and we can really dive into those. But before I go, I'll answer one more question to you guys. Let's see. Do they go into what happens to Regina when Ulrich and Katerina tied her in 1986? No comment. But I will say Regina plays a key role. 1986 Regina plays, I keep saying that they play key roles, but 1986 Regina plays a major role. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Be on the lookout. I have a recap of season 2 coming. I have my spoiler review coming. I have my ending explained video coming. So, is Bernadette part? Does the trio exist in all worlds? Is Bernadette part of the season 3 and will her origin be solved? Everyone's origins is solved by the end of season 3, and you'll get a better understanding of that. But guys, that's it for the stream. We'll talk next time. And until next time, binge on.